everybody, welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust, we got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead. Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to PSGL F4. It is time to go ahead and get a little mad at the Madrid here tonight, as I know it's a bit of a different lineup here tonight, with unfortunately F3 and F5 being cancelled. We are here for F4, a bit of a mix-up here, so we should have fun tonight. It'll be myself, Patrick Coleman, alongside Avi Terrell, and I do apologize if I butchered. I should have asked the proper pronunciation beforehand. But Avi, how you doing tonight, mate?
No, you absolutely nailed it, mate. I that was good. Great to be here. Great to be watching some incredible drivers this evening. Like you said, big mix-up of grids with the cancellations and a brand new track as well. So I think it's going to be a good watch.
It should be, yeah. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about the track. And I mean, let's just look at this place. This place is absolutely insane. It is 21 or 22 corners, and this track is just an absolute. It's a juggernaut. It's a tough track. 5.4 kilometers, 3.3 miles around. It is a doozy. It is not an easy track by any stretch of the imagination. Energy management's kind of 50-50 around here, but the biggest thing is just trying not to bin it, especially when you go through turns 5 and 6. So, without any further ado, we are going to go ahead and bring you straight to trackside here just very momentarily, as the first batch of drivers is. They're going to begin their outlap, so we're going to bring you guys over to about 3, 2, and 1. And here we are at the Madrid. It is a very interesting racetrack, I must say. I've driven it a handful of times. It's a tough one. Not easy. Lots of really sharp corners that can absolutely bite you. And probably bite off a front wing or two as well, so it's going to be a tricky one. It really feels like a Formula E circuit. I don't know if you've driven on like Assetto Corsa or anything like Tempelhof or some of the other Formula E tracks, but this kind of reminds me of those.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and the drivers not only preparing for a brand new track in quali, going as hard and as quick as they can, but battery management is also going to be important. There's quite a few straights. It's important to have enough battery on the exits and for the overtaking points. It's a whole new thing that we're not used to, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, like, I mean, looking at this track looks like a mod. It doesn't even look like it's an actual racetrack. So some circuit changes have happened here, even though we have yet to actually race at this track in the real world. They did add some extra curbing through turns 5 and 6. So, because you used to be able just to kind of straight line those curves. And I remember a lot of drivers were really just kind of getting the most out of their time trial laps with that, and some league racing as well. So I know that they made that change, and there were some genuinely fun corners on this racetrack. Like La Monumental, that banked like 180, that banked hairpin, like almost Zandvoort-esque hairpin, is very fun to drive. Sector 1 is really the bit that gets me on this track. Sector 1 is a doozy, especially with the track corners between turns 5 and 7, known as the Subida de las Cárcavas. I don't really speak Spanish, so I probably butchered that, but basically turns 5 through 6, it's a doozy.
I think you nailed the pronunciation there, I'm sure. I'm sure everyone is going to be enjoying that. But there, Alessio Cavero going fastest with a 29.7, setting our lap times alight for the banker that everyone needs to beat. Who are you looking at in this group of drivers who are going to be chasing that top spot on that pole position, do you think?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, Dennis Kamensky going in the top in the tables right now by about 7/10, so he might have this track figured out. And it's interesting because we have some drivers who would have been in the F5 race earlier today. They're jumping up, like one of the Audis of Casper Jedesi, which we talked about that name earlier, and there is I think you had the better pronunciation of it, but Ivan Santamaria as well, Panos Karafalidis also jumping up as well. A few drivers jumping up from the F5 tier up into F4. It's always fun to see, so we'll see some good battles there. Ivan Santamaria has been a really strong driver in F5. How he does in F4 is going to be a bit of a different one. We'll see. But I think right now, the Mercedes look really, really strong around this racetrack. So I'm going to say one of them, or even Gianluca Nolfo might also be a name to really just kind of keep an eye on.
It's unfortunately I missed a couple of races on comms in this particular division, but when I commentated the first 2 rounds of the season, and as exactly how you said, the Mercedes, the TES drivers have been strong, incredibly strong in tracks of all shapes and sizes. So I'm excited to see what they can do in a brand new place where everyone's having to learn not only this new battery, but the new way of taking the track. Do you think that this is going to be a track where there's easy overtakes, or do you think it's going to be a bit more tricky to find an opportunity?
Sector 1 is probably going to be the big hot spot for overtakes, is my guess. I mean, the big run from Hortaleza all the way down into turn 5 is going to be a good run because you have a really good straight there. You'll probably see some moves maybe being made into La Monumental, this banked corner that Tachubi is going ahead and making his way through now into Williams. So I think that's going to be a pretty good spot for overtakes. Other than that, I think it's going to be real tricky. It's still a very narrow track, so I think it's going to be like a Baku in terms of the overtaking. You're going to be really good in Sector 1 where the big straights are, but everywhere else it's going to be a bit of a doozy.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm also seeing a lot of difficulty with keeping those 4 tyres within the white lines. Molimo invalidating his first lap. He's going again, coming through the final sector now. Tom Wolfgram as well invalidating his lap, and I've just seen Ivan Santamaria coming into the pits for an invalidation as well. So drivers still feeling their way around the new track, not quite mastered it so far. Around the final corner comes Molimo to try and challenge for that top spot. Crosses the line, goes P4 in the V-Carb. ET8 driver looking solid. That's a good start for his quali session, though.
Yeah, so I think this one, I mean, especially because you have a good amount of F5 drivers here as well, I think this is going to be probably one of the qualifying sessions with the biggest gap, just because it is such a new track. It's a difficult track, too. The last new track that we've seen as Ryan Grob does invalidate his lap. The most recent, new track we've seen is Vegas. And Vegas, I mean, I love Vegas. I mean, granted, I'm American, yeah. And I mean, I'm spoiled. I get 3 on races, including a track I live only an hour and a half away from, being Miami. But with that being said, I mean, Vegas is a very easy track in comparison to Madrid. It's narrow-ish, but I mean, it's basically just American Monza without the chicane of doom and despair, pretty much. So that track is, well, it's pretty easy to get used to. And even when, and usually with new tracks, right, it does take a while to get used to, but this one, it really feels like a mixture between Miami and Zandvoort. That's what it really feels like. And those are 2 tracks that really just, they're kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good example. They're like oil and water in a sense. Like, individually, they have really good uses, right? And they're really good for their respective purposes, but you mix them together, it just doesn't exactly work out.
I've just seen, and I'm not sure whose car it came off of, but I've just seen at the exit of turn 19 in the fast left-right section, there is a missing end plate. So someone has clumped into the wall and maybe gone a little too hard into the corner. Like I said, people still trying to feel their way around the track.
I was looking for it. I don't see it on anybody in particular. Maybe somebody that has ended up in the pit since then.
Yeah.
Nobody that I'm currently seeing on track, so it must have been somebody who's already jumped back into the pits. But here's a question I'm going to ask for you as we get ready for our second batch of runs here. Do you think we'll see Malaysia get added, or sorry, the Bahrain Grand Prix at Malaysia? Are we going to see that track?
I'm not sure about in the game, but I hope potentially for next year's game. If they keep Sepang on the calendar, which I really hope they do, it's a classic track, great for racing, and it's not just another one of these street tracks. Then I really hope so, but I think it's a little hopeful to see it in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, but I mean, I am hopefully optimistic. I will say that. I am an optimistic guy. I've always been a glass half full kind of guy, and I think they'll probably do it. It'll probably be well into the game's life cycle, and it'll probably really just be an added track, like for career mode and such. It probably won't be something that you can put on your calendar by default, kind of like how Imola was taken off of the 2023 calendar due to some real life things that happened in the area, and it never really got taken out. So I think it might be coming as an extra track later on, but I can tell you that as soon as that track comes out, it is going on every league calendar known to man.
Absolutely, we're all going to be so sick of it.
I mean, it's going to be right up there with like Spa and Monza. Although granted, Spa's a fantastic track, Monza is just destruction half the time. But yeah, coming back to the track that we were actually racing at here in Madrid, yeah, like you said, I think it's specifically that Sector 1 that a few of these drivers are really having some trouble with. Neo Steens had a bit of a moment coming through that turn 5, 6, and 7 complex, and he invalidated his lap. You do carry a good amount of momentum into a lot of these corners, so it is, I can see it where it could be very easy to make a bit of a mistake and just get a little too close. I'm surprised we haven't seen a whole lot of mistakes in moments around La Monumental, that very nicely banked turn 10 or turn 12 hairpin.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a corner favorite for the drivers going around this track, and they've absolutely mastered it. But I did see Tom Wolfgram cross the line. He went P6, has just been replaced, put down to P7, and the gaps are relatively close. But you are right, with being a new track, we might see some bigger gaps. I'm currently watching Ryan Grob, who's been caught by a McLaren, and I believe that's Santa Maria, and it is. They're both on hot laps, but the McLaren has got some incredible pace and has actually caught up to the back of the Alpine, and is now getting a little bit of a tow there as the Alpine cuts through the air ahead as D'Amico goes fastest with a 28.3, putting 2/10 on the rest of the field. Here, coming out the final corner, goes the Alpine and the McLaren. The McLaren with that extra bonus speed down the straight has definitely helped him out. The VLS driver up to P4. And I'm not sure the Alpine will be too pleased with that, but what do you think?
I mean, not the greatest lap out there. I mean, probably still about at least 2 or 3 seconds faster than what I can manage around this track. I mean, my lap times around this track are absolutely abysmal, and the less said about them, the better. But yeah, tricky stuff for Ryan Grob. We'll see if he can get another lap. And there's still 5.5 minutes left to go here, by the way. So, and that tramline camera is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen on the track. Kind of reminds me of the drone shots they've been debuting throughout the year. But we're seeing some pretty decent qualifying gaps here. The top 5 separate, actually the top 7 separated by less than half a second, as Gianluca Nofo goes and jumps up into 7th. Alex Lamas, I've been seeing some love for the Cadillac driver in the YouTube chat. So good, it's always awesome to see that support for like a friend, teammate, family member, etc. It's always fun to see that support come through, as we're gonna just watch as Alex Lamas is gonna make his way through. He's pushing quite nicely, and oh, this camera, this onboard camera as he's coming through La Monumental is just nice. And has he backed out of it? No, I think he's just trying to save some energy. And I mean, I can see where energy can be really tricky on this track. I'll be curious, like, once we get through the race, which I know is a while from now, but once we get through the race, I'll be really keen on just hearing their thoughts on this track, because it is a doozy. I know I've used that word quite a bit, but that's just the best way to really describe it. It's tricky. As Alex Lamas coming through the last couple of corners now. We'll see what he can do. He comes through now, coming through the part of the track known as El Park. Well, he won't want to park it there. He's going to want to push on and try to get to the line. We'll see where his time goes. He does improve, but he will remain in 8th. So there is an improvement, but the Cadillac driver remains in 8th position. Oh, he spun it too.
Bit too keen on the throw potentially. I've seen some bad luck for the ET8 drivers. Thomas Robotham invalidating in the first sector at racetrack. Tetraby just invalidating there, the Belgian driver at turn 13. So the Williams drivers seem to be really giving it some beans, but maybe over the limit. And they've both come back into the pits. Currently sat 12th and 13th, but they have pace to improve. Tetraby's first sector, he had improved by 0.2 of a second. So it's fair to believe that they may well be in the fight for the top 5, maybe even higher, if they can hook up that final lap.
Yeah, speaking of those final laps, they should be coming around pretty shortly. Pascal Gill is going to be the first driver to go ahead and give it a go in this final Mad Dash of qualifying here. And this is really going to be like I-95 traffic, one of the most backed up highways in the U.S. And I mean, consider that we're on a street track, it's pretty accurate. Another question as a few of these drivers are going to go through. Do you think gas is cheap at the Madrid? Because I'm seeing there's a gas station. I believe it's right before turn 8 or 9. I think there's like a gas station there. And I wonder what the gas prices are. I mean, probably for a Formula 1 car, probably way more than I can afford. But also, and I won't promise I won't go on too much of a tangent on this because I could talk about this particular race all day. But the what is it? The Arun 1200 kilometer is probably one of the craziest endurance races ever because I mean I'll tell you more about it later, probably after the show. But you actually fill up at an actual regular petrol station for gas instead of going into like an actual pit stop. You just use a petrol station to refuel for the race, and it's a crazy GT3 race. I'd love to see an F1 car around it, but good luck with that. But here we go, first of the outlaps, and it's going to be Pascal Gill going ahead and giving it a go in the Cadillac. He's going to go ahead and make his way through turns 1 and 2, and he gets really tight there. Now making his way down Hortaleza, the massive straight now running down into turn 4. And he's going to go ahead and he's going to conserve a little bit. This is when they added the curbs, and oh, he's invalidated right there. They added those curbs very shortly after, and that is usually the result if you touch those curbs.
It's difficult. All the pressure's on now for the drivers. A minute left in qualifying to go. I'm watching Alexei Covero work his way through that first sector, heading towards the corner we've been talking about quite a lot. Turn 12, the massive 180 bank corner, hogging the inside, making the track as short of a line as possible. And we'll see what he can find, emptying that battery out, going towards the next braking zone. Kept within the white lines, that's where we've seen a lot of drivers invalidate, but he has backed off on his lap, opting potentially to go again, and he should just about have time to get to the line.
A few more drivers making their way on through, and we'll see. We'll check in with the TES driver, Michael Kuzella. Kuzella just making his way through sector 1, coming through that really tricky turn 6 and 7 section. As now he's going to make his way to turn 12. And he's going to just go ahead and just hug it around like a merry-go-round and slingshot his way back through, coming through the rest of sector 2. And now he's coming down to the portion of the track that we're just going to call Valdebebas now, and then he's going to come down hard on the brakes into turn 17, going to make his way under the tunnel, heading into Norce, and he's going to go ahead and make his way through. That's qualifying timer done. Tom Wolfgram in the 10th. He'll be the first driver to finish up here, so a few more drivers getting ready to cross the line. A bit of a slide there for Michael Kuzella. He's had a bit of a slide. Thomas Robotham in P12. And it's up to P2 for Michael Kuzella. Up in the P2 now. What about the Aston Martin driver? Can the Aston Martin driver make some moves? He does improve. Quite a few drivers now making their way through the line. And Ivan Santamaria, he's invalidated, so he will not be improving on the track. And that is Dennis Kamensky jumping up the order. He is going to improve in the provisional pole by 37 milliseconds. What about the Ferrari of D'Amico? D'Amico, what is he going to do? He does not improve. That was not an improvement for him. What about Malimo? the V-Carb driver. Is he going to go through and improve? He up into third. Yes, he does. And what about Alexi? And then the Cadillac, Pascal Gill's going to come through. He improves all the way into 7th. And then the last driver to come across the line will be Alexi Corvero. Can Corvero get it done? Oh, he has a meaty smack against the wall. And he just bends it. And that is... I mean, I know it's called El Parque, but you can't park it there, sir. As that is qualifying. Done, dusted, and delivered. Dennis Kaminsky does take pole position for Mercedes ahead of D'Amico and Molimo, Neo Steens, Marcel Pabst, Michael Kuzella, Pascal Gil, Ivan Santamaria, Tachubi, and then Alex Lamas running on your top 10. And that is Gianluca Nofo, Casper, Tom Wolfgram, Thomas Robotham, Penos Carafalidis, Alexi Covero, Ryan Grob, and Tax, who did not set a lap time in the session. Rounding out your 18 gladiators taking on this Coliseum of a racetrack here this evening. So, with that being said, I mean, Avi, this is going to be a beautiful track, an unbelievable spectacle for sure.
So unfortunate there for D'Amico. I don't know if you caught it, but he clipped the wall. He had a fantastic first sector, was up by 0.2, and he clipped the wall on the exit of turn 8, I believe, and broke his wing. So losing out pole to Dennis Kamensky by only a few hundredths of a second must be so frustrating for him. But he's got the pace. He'll be starting second, still on the front row of the grid. I'm excited to see what he can do in the commencing few laps.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one here. I mean, any bold predictions before we get ready? Because I think our drivers are just about to get underway. So you saw my face and then his profile picture momentarily. We're going to jump back straight to the track as I think we're about to get things rolling here. So any bold predictions on the strategy? I know this is new territory, but here we go. We got the 5 red lights on the gantry. And it's lights out and away we go. We are vamosing our way through. And oh, carnage has happened here. Lots of drama. Oh,
it must be a red flag.
Yeah, it must be a red flag. We get to enjoy the carnage a bit, so. Oh yeah, we get to enjoy a little bit of the carnage. Who says you can't have fun in sim racing? So, there's going to be a red flag here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go and take another step back, and we'll be right back here. right, everybody, we are getting ready to jump back into it. Here's just another quick look at this fantastic venue here in Madrid. Track limits were a bit of an issue in qualifying, and then as we get ready to go, we're going to just see how the racing is going to be here at this venue here in Madrid. The Spanish Grand Prix is about to get underway. Some really key areas I think are going to be hot spots for trouble. Turns 5 and 6 going to be a bit of a problematic one in my opinion, and then obviously I think we're going to see probably most of the moves from the run from turn 3 all the way into turn 12. That's probably going to be the run that we are going to go ahead and see the most of. But what do you think about strategy wise, Avi? What do you think about strategy here at Madrid?
Well, first of all, the main thing is that we've had a separation from quali in the race. In the quali session we had earlier on, the drivers had a setup built purely to go fastest for that one lap, whereas now the drivers are making those changes to their setup. It's going to be quicker over a 20-plus lap race. It's going to be important on tyre wear. It's also going to be important on keeping the battery high. In terms of tyre strategy, I imagine we're probably going to be seeing majority mediums to hard. Maybe for those drivers who are further back going for the alternate strategy, going hards and mediums. Softs, that's a big question mark. Brand new track, maybe they're the way to go, but it is quite a long track, so I think they might get shredded.
Yeah, and I mean, also, you got to think there's some, I mean, the big sweeping corners are the big ones where you really got to just be careful about it. And really the only big sweeping corner on this track is going to be that turn 12. So that turn 12 is really the big one that I think is probably going to be the most detrimental to tires. As someone who's covered a little bit of oval racing myself, the higher banking usually does lead to slightly higher tire degradation. You see it in Zandvoort, another track with a good amount of banking to it. So it'll be an interesting one, to say the least. I'm looking forward to see how this one pans out, because as far as I know, this is the first time either one of us have covered Madrid.
That's correct.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how we go here. Are we gonna go mad at the Madrid? I knew that pump was a stretch, but I figured we'd try to get away with it. If you're not familiar with my style of commentating, Avi, you're gonna learn that if I see an opportunity for a pun, I'm gonna go for it. And another way that works is if a driver sees an opportunity to go for an overtake, especially through sector 1, then that's where they're gonna have to go for it, because every other part of this track, except maybe through turn 12, it's going to be tough to pass. So I think the 3 main passing zones, the run from turn 3 to turn 5, and then the start line, and then turn 12. Those are going to be probably the big overtaking zones. But hey, who knows? I mean, these drivers are some of the best in the world. So they may throw us a bit of a curveball. They may show us something that we have never seen before. And I mean, technically everything on this track is something we haven't seen before, because this is making its PSGL debut here for F4, with F5 and F3 not particularly keen on racing here. But here we go. We have the 5 red lights on the gantry, and it's lights out and away we go. Take 2, and here we go. Everybody trying to make it good moves here, trying to find some spots. We're going 3 wide, coming through turn 2, and it's already carnage. Already a car spun around. That is going to be Molimo having a bit of a moment. He's going to get dropped down the order. Lots of carnage. Lots of drivers going 3 wide into some of these corners. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but hey, these drivers are really just going to try to make things happen. D'Amico, excuse me, just leading the pack. He did jump the Mercedes of Dennis, and he will go ahead and lead for the Tifosi. Ferrari have actually already driven around this track in the real world for a testing day, and that event just somewhat translated here to Madrid as they continue to make their run through. Michael Kuzella now trying to find something here. We'll see if he can get one ahead of Neo Steens, as the 2 Williams will trade places a bit further back. And Dennis Kamensky, though, he did get jumped at the start, but he is not letting that Ferrari go easily. So the Ferrari is going to have to try to prance away from this one, as we just see them just snaking their way through the S's coming into Norte. And that's going to be a good move now, trying to find some kind of gap here, as Pascal and Thomas going to go ahead and battle out, going side by side, coming in through turn 21. And the first lap of the Madrid is done, and we're seeing Pascal Gill come into the pits, and that might be our first victim here of the night. We'll see.
Yeah, great start from D'Amico there, catching Kamensky off guard going towards turn 1 and 2, getting that better start and giving him now the lead as they both begin to pull away from P3. I also caught the incident going through the 5-6 chicane, and I believe it was an Audi. It may have been a Kaspergen Jacek who made contact with Aleski Cavero, spun him round, and he's now close to the back of the field as our first DNF from the evening is Marcel Pabst in the pits.
Gianluca Nofo now trying to go ahead and fight here. He's got Tachubi right behind him into Williams. So Red Bull versus Williams now battling it out a bit further back. Jumping back up a bit further though, Ivan Santa Maria, a driver who has been very strong in PCF5, making the jump up to F4 here tonight in lieu of the canceled F5 race that was going to happen an hour earlier. He is actually making up some really darn good progress. He's trying to make a move now onto Neo Staines. And this is why this track's such a wild card, because I mean it's brand new for everybody. You don't know where passes are going to happen at, and I mean it's really just brand new. So you really just gotta. I'm gonna take a term from the fighting game community. Sometimes you just gotta go to the lab and try to lab it out, try to experiment, find new things. And Gianluca is out.
He's
pinned it.
The wall there. How on earth is that not a safety car or a VSC? But yeah, the Red Bull's gone straight on at turn 20. I saw that. Suspension gone. That's him out of the race.
Do we throw the obligatory, you can't park there, sir? I mean, granted, I'm surprised we haven't seen anybody bin it through turns. I think, let me look at the corner numbers again. Turn 8, El Bunker. I'm surprised we haven't seen anyone bin it through there, because that is a tight braking zone going into El Bunker. And I mean, if you just miss your brake upon that, you are straight into the wall. It's a very sharp kink coming through turns 8 and 9. And now we're heading on to probably my favorite part of the track, and a lot of people's favorite parts, being Monumental. That very nice banked curve, as we do have some good fights here as well. Ivan Santamaria is still all over the gearbox of Neo Steins, as he is going to try to look one way, look another. Maybe, trying to get inventive through Valdebebas, trying to get that move done. I mean, we can see that Ivan Santamaria, if he can get free, then this McLaren is going to be a papaya cutter threat. Is he going to make the dive here? No, he's going to back out of it. Oh, but the Audi over brakes, and but the thing is that when you get to that turn 20, it's such a sharp curve, and that's another one. Is that Pascal Gill who's at a moment? Pascal Gill, well, he's already bit down the order. Taxes, no, somebody at a moment. There was a yellow in sector 3, not sure who that was, but we are here on lap 4 out of 29. It is still D'Amico against Kamensky.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching the big key fight to the front. I'm seeing there's a lot of fighting going on in the midfield. Thomas Robotham has had a great start. He's gained 7 positions. However, his teammate Tetraby struggling to find his way through the pack. He's currently sat behind Kasper Jacek, and he's doing a great defensive job. As up ahead, the battle going on for P5, and that's Alex Lamas, who's got past Neo Steins in a little fight for P4. Bit of a gap there, however, to the top 3 on the podium. What is the strategy for them, do you think, to try and pull their way back into that front 3 fight?
Work together and try not to fight each other as much. I mean, I know that's a much easier said than done kind of thing, but with that all being said and done, you really just got to be careful. And it's a tough track. What you really don't want to do is get damage, because damage is going to be the big one here. Because you do have a lot of corners that come at you really fast and really sharp, and you just got to be real careful not to knock off an end plate or power drive yourself into one of the barriers or get track limits like Tax has just done. So it's been a tricky day in the office for the Alpine. Wasn't able to set a lap in quali. He actually retired very early on in quali, and then so he's ready to start from P18. But let's take a look at the tires real quick. So right now, everybody in this race, with the exception of Pascal, who did pit earlier, is on the mediums. So the one stop could very well be the case here, as usually it's those fast sweeping corners that really just do your tires in. Not a whole lot of that. Coming back up, Alex Lamas, there's love for him in the chat earlier on, and right now he is just carving his way through this field. He gets past Ivan Santamaria, and that is going to be for P4 on the road. So the Cadillac putting in some pretty good performances here. Jumping back up to the front though, Kamensky is still battling Dennis. I mean, your biggest rival is always going to be yourself, but not in this case. Dennis Kamensky now trying to fight D'Amico, as they are still fighting it out. It is Mercedes versus Ferrari. Welcome back 2018, a bit further back. Some battles happening here. It is going to be Bolimo and Tachubi pretty much within breathing distance of each other, as they're going to try everything in their power to find some kind of opportunity. You're going to see some very adventurous dive bombs potentially on this track, just because it's so new, and a bit of a wiggle there for Kamensky coming out of turn 21.
We saw the fight for P4 with Lamas and Santa Maria. Unfortunately, Neo Steins has dropped off the back of it, and he's actually come into the pits on lap 4, so potentially a two-stop strategy for the Audi, opting to make a very early pit stop. Thomas Robotham had caught up to him, and now has that clean air to try and pull away. You can see behind there is Caspian Jacek, who's trying to close in on the back of the ET8 driver, who's got some solid pace. He's already gained 8 positions in this race, and he's now chasing down the fight for P4 that we were watching earlier.
Yeah, Ivan Santa Maria. Go ahead.
But further back, yeah, we can see Tetra, the other ET8 driver, who's currently having to manage between attacking and defending. He's dropped off the back of the Audi there. The Polish driver, who's beginning to slide away. And of course, he's feeling the pressure from Molimo, and now Ryan Grob, who's connected to the back of his, well, you can't say DRS anymore. It's now the Blue Boost, the extra bonus battery that you get down the straights after being within 1 second of the car ahead. As there, Dennis Kamensky, once again, getting active on D'Amico, retaking the lead of the, is it Spanish Grand Prix or is it the Madrid Grand Prix? I'm not sure the actual
it's Spanish
for the race. So the Spanish Grand Prix, yeah. And he is now going to look to try and pull away from the Ferrari, but seems to have very strong pace. It's going to be difficult to break away, I think.
I mean, he's already pulled off a handful of tenths off of him, already pulled over half a second away from the Ferrari, so a little bit of a grace against the wall there, though, for Dennis Kamensky. We'll see what he does. And oh, he's in the pits as well, so this one might just very well go the way of the 2-stop. And D'Amico will just re-emerge in the lead of this race. So the Ferrari back out in front. We'll see if Kuzella can be a factor in this one as well. His Mercedes teammate, as Alex Lamas now up in the third. But Ivan Santamaria, despite the fact that he is a PC F5 driver, so he's in F5, he's jumping up tonight. He is putting some massive pressure on a lot of these F4 drivers, so a promotion might be in his future. We'll just have to see. I mean, he's right now being pretty darn competitive into that McLaren, as Pascal Gill will get a 3-second time penalty for track limit violations. The first one we've seen tonight in terms of the track limits, so that's unfortunate. And there's some parts of track that we're probably going to see a handful of these track limits here tonight. But we'll just keep an eye on things, as Ryan Grob is just going to slingshot his way through Monumental. Maybe trying to set up for a Monumental move. Doesn't find anything just yet. Checking in on Dennis, who's down in 13th now after making that pit stop. How much time is he going to start just pulling into D'Amico right now? Because he's currently 19 seconds back from the race lead. But, I mean, that just shows you how tight things are. I mean, that's, as D'Amico is into the pits now. We'll see where he comes out in relation to the Mercedes man as he is making his way through the last couple of corners.
I'm quite surprised, yeah, but a lot of drivers going in for the early pit stops, potentially a 2-stop, potentially just extending that hard stint in the second stint of this race. That'll be requiring a lot of management. It's going to be interesting to see where Dennis Kamensky comes out compared to the two that he was fighting earlier in the race. There he is going down towards turn 1, and he is successfully ahead of the Ferrari. He's also ahead of his teammate. Where's the gap going to be? And it looks very, very big. Look at the undercut that he's managed to get there. Past he goes. And out of the pits comes D'Amico. And the gap is now over 2 seconds. The undercut has absolutely worked in the favor of the TES driver. And now the job is to try and pull away. But you can see up ahead of Dennis Kamensky is the long train that works all the way up to P3 and beyond.
Remember, everybody started this race on that medium compound, so it's going to be 8-lap-old mediums versus just brand new hards, which at some tracks is a bit of a bigger advantage than others, I will say. But with that all being said, it could very well just go the way of the hards, especially if they just try to make this stint a long one. Because, I mean, you got to think it's about 21 to 22 laps that they're going to put on this tire. So, oh, and look at this. Kamensky is going to get ahead of Karafalidis in the Red Bull. So that's going to be a few drivers in the pits. Dennis Kamensky will jump up now into 5th, as D'Amico will come through as well. He's in 6th. But now, even a bit further back, and that is going to be, that's the Alpine of Tax, who is had a bit of a moment, and he has lost both of his end plates.
Not ideal for the Alpine. But I think that shows how quickly Dennis Kamensky caught up to the drivers on the medium tyres. And that's probably why everyone's pitting so early. The undercut is absolutely massive. They're going to be pushing every much they can out of those hard tyres, pitting as early as possible, getting that undercut and looking for track position. And now the job is going to be trying to maintain these white rim tyres to the end of the race. We've got a long way to go, still 21 laps, or 20 at the end of this lap. It's going to be a difficult job indeed. But two drivers that have managed to get quite close together after their pit stop is Neo Steins and Ivan Santamaria. Currently sat in P8 and P9, will soon be net P4 and 5. And they are fighting their way around, despite Steins pitting a couple laps earlier than the McLaren. He has been caught, and the undercut for him, trying to get himself up into that top 3 fight, hasn't worked. The gap's still 5 seconds, and it may be a job of just defending for P4 for the remainder of this race. But Santamaria looks aggressive, and he looks quick. Coming towards turn 20 is an opportunity to dive, does not. And he stays where he is. But up ahead, there's Dennis Kamensky working his way past Techebi. As into the pits goes Alex Lamas, the Cadillac driver who was leading the race there. And this must be so frustrating for Kamensky. You can see probably in his wing mirrors starting to see some Ferrari red in the background. D'Amico is trying to find his way through as there. Past Molimo goes Kamensky, who isn't really allowing him through. He's not being the nicest, but through he goes. Past goes Dennis Kamensky, who's now got a bit of clean air. He's got about 4 seconds of clean air. That might hopefully allow him to pull away. D'Amico, it's his turn now to cut through that traffic you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because traffic management is going to be the biggest, probably one of the biggest factors that I didn't even really consider coming into this one, but it's really just played a factor in clearing that traffic effectively. I mean, on that straight alone, just before turn 4, I mean, Dennis Kamensky has cleared 2 cars down on older tires now. D'Amico will need to do that himself, so he needs to just try to fight it and try to get through as well. And I mean, Dennis has already pulled off almost 2 seconds on Molimo, and that is just going to be just disaster for the Ferrari. Just not able to make his way through the traffic, and absolutely frustrating as well for the Ferrari man. Gives a little bit of a love tap there, and he's going to try to make the dive onto Techebi, but no! He backs out of it smartly so, but that is going to just increase the gap. Can I just say this real quick? A absolutely mind-blowing number. It has barely been over, it's not even been a full lap yet since Dennis passed both Molimo. Techebi's defending hard, but look at this. Through goes Michael Kuzella, and it is a net Mercedes 1-2. And that's a 1-2 sucker punch to the Ferrari. And I mean, the Ferrari tried so hard to get past Techebi, but Michael Kuzella gets past the both of them in one foul swoop, making the dive into turn 1. When in doubt, just lick the stamp and send it, but there's contact between Molimo and Michael Kuzella. Big contact there as they make their way through the S's, heading into Monumental. And this is setting out to be a monumental moment. What has happened here? A bit further back, Techebi is spun around. He is spinning around in Monumental, and that's a monumental mistake there from the Williams. Just tragedy happening here. But where has Thomas Robotham I mean, he's probably wondering where has Dennis come from, as that is going to be Dennis Kamensky up into the lead of the race. And more drama a bit further back. I think everybody's sorted, but that might have been the Red Bull. Oh, Panos Karafalidis having a bit of a tricky one. D'Amico's now all over the back of Kuzella. And this is for a net P2 because Thomas Robottom still needs to pit.
Yeah, really smart there by Kuzella, using the lap car to find his way past D'Amico. So frustrating for the Ferrari car, who now needs to fend back past. As into the pits comes Thomas Robottom. And I'm quite curious to see where the Williams comes out, because he was so far ahead the other drivers who were looking to extend that medium tyres. Now, he is going to get undercut, but he's also going to have significantly better hard tyres for the remainder of the race. And he might be able to use that to overtake. Out the pit lane he comes, and you can see it's quite an unusual pit lane, cutting turn 1, 2, and part of turn 3 as well. And he's going to rejoin the track on the run, the straight down to turn 5. As Neo Steins there retiring, and I believe that's in the pits, so there's Techaby. And that is 5 DNFs for this race so far on lap 12. Out the pits comes Thomas Robottom, and he's in P12. And I'm interested to see, as I said, with those fresher tyres, how much can he chase down the cars up ahead. Speaking of up ahead, D'Amico on the back of Michael Kuzella. He's looking for a move, trying to go round the long way of turn 12, but not close enough. And they're staying in single file formation. But the pace between these two has been incredibly strong. So frustrating for him to lose a chance at the win against Dennis Kamensky, but the battle for P2 is still very much on. And what I'm also interested to see is Molimo continuing to extend that medium stint. So he's taken a leaf out of Robottom's book to see how far he can take those medium tyres. Behind, though, that is Jędrzejczyk defending from Pascal Gil, trying to go down the inside of the tight corner, but they're not quite a car's width to put his front wing. There's a lot of pressure for this P7 spot as they weave their way through the final sector. And now Pascal Gil's feeling the pressure from Ryan Grob, going towards turn 20, round the outside, and way before the apex of the corner. The Alpine is through. And a good little fight going as Pascal Gil, only with that yellow battery, not with the blue boost, and able to give him that extra horsepower down the straights. As into the pits comes Molimo. As D'Amico finds his way past Michael Kuzella. Let's find out where Molimo's going to come out.
By my side.
Oh, what have you seen?
I've seen that Michael Kuzella is not done yet. They're still fighting that silver arrow as he was trying to maybe go for the retake. They're side by side coming into turns 5, 6, and 7. So there's very tight battles going on here. These two really seem equal on pace. But in the scrapping that D'Amico has had to do here tonight, he has dropped 6 seconds to Dennis Kamensky out in front. I figured that one of the Mercedes drivers were going to be strong around this track, just considering the strong pace in qualifying from Kamensky. And even Kuzella too also had some really good pace in quali as well. Just those two really getting along very nicely with the circuit. But I didn't think it was going to be 6.2 seconds worth. Even now that D'Amico's in clean air, he's fighting a little bit with Kuzella behind, but he's pulling from Kuzella, but Kamensky is pulling from D'Amico. So even then, even with the clear air, I mean, it almost just seems like a Dennis Kamensky race win is very much on the cards. I'm not going to say inevitable, because if I say that Dennis, his win is inevitable, then that's the commentator's curse is waiting to happen. And I know commentators and witch doctors have kind of that one thing in common, that they get paid to curse people. But I don't feel like giving a commentator's curse out today. I'm going to let that be your thing, Avi. Yep. Panos Karafalidis is out of this one, so that is number 6.
Yeah, drivers may be struggling to navigate their way around the streets of Madrid. It is all part of the learning process of a new track and getting used to it. But this fight for P2 continuing on as Kuzella beginning to drop time through that first sector on D'Amico. He seems to be nailing his first sector. As they come towards the heavy braking of turn 13 is there Molimo, the second driver on the grid, to pick up a 3-second penalty for exceeding that track limits just a few too many times for the FIA stewards to be happy with. He is about 10 seconds behind P11, but he's got those fresher tyres. It's interesting to see how much will he catch up.
Sorry to cut you off, but Pascal Gil, Tom Wolfgram, and Alexi are just, that's Pascal Gil, Thomas Robottom, they're all fighting. This is a bit further back though, so this is only for 9th. But good golly, they are just absolutely just scrapping it out here. That's a beautiful pass for Thomas Robottom. I mean, where did that come from? That man, he should change his name from Robottom to Thomas the Terminator, because he is absolutely terminating any gap. But look at this. I thought he was about to send another one on to Pascal Gill just through turn 22. Where is this pace come from, Thomas? Thomas has just, I mean, he's putting the will in Williams, that's for sure, that he will not be stopped. The willpower in that Williams is just unmatched at the moment. And wow. Some good battles happening on this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's using that extra tire life that he has. You've got to remember, Pascal Gill pitted really early in this race. He's got 13 lap old hards compared to Thomas Robotham's only 3 lap old hards. For now, the chase is on for him to try and close down the drivers up ahead. Like I said, I'm very interested to see how much he can push this stint on the hard tires. Up ahead, currently the fight for P7. There's Ryan Grob defending off Alexei Cavero. It looks like Seechuk's pulled away from this fight. Looks relatively solid there in P6. Here comes the Haas, trying to get aggressive, weaving through this middle sector. But no opportunity for a move just yet. We'll keep an eye on them. We'll see how this battle changes and whether Thomas Robotham can close up.
He's going to try to close in the gaps here, and we'll see what he can do. I've seen some pretty inventive overtaking spots on this racetrack. Ooh, that big snap might just give the opportunity to Alexei Cavero, and we'll see what he can do. He's going to just pretty much try to drag race him down, getting really close to turn 22, and then make their way through on the exit of El Park. And here we go. It's going to be an attempted move into turn 1. It's going to get dicey. Wheel to wheel over the runoff there. Ryan Grob getting his elbows out. Trying to show him some Alpine from the Alpine, as Alexei Cavero is going to just try to send it up the inside. He's got the speed, he's got the move, but does he have the line? Yes, he does! What a maneuver through turns 5 and 6. Beautiful stuff, but that battle's not done yet. The Alpine has come back in full force. Oh, the big meaty smack against the wall there. And this battle just keeps getting even more intense. With Thomas Robottom now in the mix as well. He broke away from Wolfgram and Pascal Gill. So now he's going to get moved on around the outside. This is around the outside of Monumental. That is a NASCAR style overtake if I've ever seen one. Just send it on the high banking, send it down low, and through he goes into P8.
Yeah, that was a great move. You could tell in the battle between Cavero and Grob that he was definitely considering trying to hold on the wheel-to-wheel through the 5-6 chicane, but it's probably safer to back out of it. He did his best. It was a good defense, but Cavero and his commitment managed to find his way through, and that left it with no battery and very vulnerable to Thomas Robotham, who's now trying to invite himself into the battle for P7 with those fresher tires. We'll see how this works out for him.
He's got the fresher tires, so he's got the opportunity to really make some magic work here in the Williams. And I mean, just the power that he's had all throughout. And I mean, he's had some good pace even earlier on, even on older tires. He was fending off a Ferrari pretty nicely. So we'll see if he could go ahead. And now he's caught up to Alexei again. So Alexei Cavero is going to have to just be real careful, because Thomas Robottom has just been absolutely lethal on this set of hard tires. And I mean, that is not going away anytime soon, because that pace on that car is just absolutely ludicrous. Another car that's had some pretty darn good pace tonight here is going to be Alex Lamas chasing Ivan Santamaria. This is a battle for P4. The Cadillac has really just brought things into focus, but a bit further back, it is still going to be Thomas Robottom and Alexei Cavero. Still, look at this. Oh, almost contact, and they're going to just fight their way through. And once again, around the outside. He just gets them moved on. Those fresher tires, man. If you were able to extend the stint on the mediums, the hards have just been absolutely generous here in Madrid. Beautiful stuff to see. But There's more battles just brewing around the field. We'll see what happens. Alex Lamas still trying to catch up and maybe try to grab Ivan Santa Maria, but Michael Kuzella and D'Amico also still trying to fight for second. And you know, I didn't think that there'd be this many battles here on this track, and I am so glad to be proven wrong.
It's interesting as well because this is like I said, a brand new track. It's difficult because the drivers don't actually know how hard they can push it when beside another car. They've done their time trial, they've done quali, and I'm sure they've done some practice on hard and medium tires, but doing it next to someone, fighting through, who's trying to aim for the same piece of racetrack ahead as you are. And they're adapting well. It's been some great fighting so far this race. The fight for P4 is still carried on as Alex Lamas is closed up to the back of Ivan and Santa Maria as they run round, heading down towards turn 13. Is there an opportunity for a late dive down the inside? There isn't, with the Cadillac holding on to the rear of the McLaren. We'll see if there's a move for those two coming up shortly. But the top three have run away, and Dennis Kamensky has run further. But the battle for P4 is still very, very much on.
Good fights happening all throughout the field, and he is just trying one thing, trying another, trying everything in his power to get some kind of move done. And good on the brakes now, coming into the last handful of corners. It's a really sharp turn 20 there, coming through 21 and 22. Alex Lamas now just reeling them on in. Can the Cadillac get a move done as Malamo gets past Pascal Gill? And he shakes it. He does a very quick shake, trying to throw Ivan Santa Maria through a loop, but he doesn't take the bait. It was hook, line, and sinker, but the bait was just not taken from Santa Maria, but it doesn't matter. Lamas trying to go around the outside. Outside would have became the inside if he was able to make it stick, but trying to fight through that 5 and 6 section of the racetrack is just such a difficult one to really do. I mean, it's not easy to fight through there, but I mean, don't tell these drivers that because they've just been doing it pretty much all day. Now, in a battle for P9, Tom Wolfgram and Ryan Grob battling out for the last 2 spots in the top 10 as we are just about to be under 10 laps to go. But look at this. Look at this battle that's closed up here quite nicely. Michael Cruzella and D'Amico now really close together, trying to fight for this P2 spot.
You got to remember, we've actually got quite a long way left of this race to go. So the drivers need to make sure they're not wasting too much time and getting caught by cars behind. I think the closest fight right now is going to be Alex Lamas. He's looking for a move down the inside of the McLaren at turn 20. Down the inside he goes, and the Cadillac's ahead of the apex of the corner. Great move from Lamas. He finds his way past Santa Maria. And now the job is to try and pull away with the extra battery that he's saved up. But unfortunately, he won't have that extra blue boost. It's going to be reduced to yellow, and it's going to be Santa Maria who has that extra battery and extra horsepower down the straights. It's going to be difficult to hold on, but he has made his way up to P4 so far.
Good fights all around indeed as they are just continuing to scrap it out. But look at this. I mean, Michael Cruzella, he seems really quick through this technical sector of the racetrack, and now they're coming into Monumental. And the Mercedes drivers put up a pretty good fight, but it just seems that D'Amico and the Ferrari is just really out his number as we are in the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix here in Madrid, Spain. And Madrid, now the home of the Spanish Grand Prix, is going to try to find something here. Oh, this could be race deciding. If D'Amico can somehow make up 3.2 seconds, if Dennis's pace really falls off, that track limit penalty that really seems like it's kind of all for nothing now, kind of rendered useless. If D'Amico fires up and gets a move on, then, I mean, the race for the lead could very well be on. Now, it is worth noting that gap has pretty much stayed right around 6 seconds or so. But Dennis did go for the undercut, so he's got 1 lap older tires than the Ferrari. So that really could just make things very, very, very difficult for the Mercedes, depending on how strong the tire wear is around the circuit.
still watching. I'm still keeping an eye on this 5v4 as Alex Lamas has managed to pull at a reasonable enough gap to Santa Maria to keep himself safe. But the McLaren is still very much on his tail, and Kasper Jacek is still not too far behind as well, about 2/10 out of that blue boost range. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can invite himself into this fight. But let's see, yeah, as you said, yeah, that 3-second penalty for Denis Kamensky. The problem now is that it's not just about track position. If he has any mistake, if D'Amico can find some pace, then it might be out of his hands if he can hold on to this win. He needs to stay consistent, not make any mistakes, and he should be fine. His pace has been strong. And it's also part of this, I think, to play. It's going to be Michael Kuzela. Can he get involved? Can he slow down Mako if he begins to close up to the back of his teammate and that gap starts to get smaller? So it's going to be very difficult for the Ferrari. It's still very much in the Mercedes hands, but it'd be interesting to see how the race goes for the next 8 or so laps to see if there's any changes.
Yeah, and actually for a while, Michael Kuzela was actually right on the gearbox of D'Amico, and I think that's going to be another factor in this race too here, Avi, as just, because here's the nice thing for Dennis, right, in his position. His pace is consistent, his pace is really strong. He's actually pulled away a bit from D'Amico, but you also got a very feisty teammate who's going to look for a move, and through the graphic goes, and it's a 3-second time penalty for D'Amico. Oh, that one could actually be looked at and removed by the stewards post-race, because, I mean, for D'Amico, there was really just nowhere to go. He had Michael Kuzela on the inside, so pretty much just that was either going to be A, take both of them out, or B, just run across the gravel to get that pen. So, I mean, that's going to be, at worst, one position dropped, so it'll be a Mercedes 1-2. But I think, given the circumstances, that one could be looked at post-race and potentially removed. I know some series have more rules in terms of getting penalties removed than others. So, I mean, I'd have to look at the rulebook and see what's the official go for that. But I think D'Amico has a really good shot at just getting that pen removed, just because of the circumstances. So, aggressive stuff here, but that does increase that gap to almost 7 seconds to Denis Kamensky. And they're going to just try here, but gaps have really just kind of spread back out. But look at this. And now here's another battle here. This is the battle for the top 10. As they come through, you got Malimo trying to chase down Ryan Grob, who's got Tom Wolfgram just at the back of this trio. Just trying to look for anything that might be able to give him an extra shot at maybe breaking into his top 10. Wolfgram in the Aston Martin, the car that's driving very nicely without its cool vibrations that it used to have before Hungary. And he's going to try now to bring it on in. We'll see what he can do. And it's tricky trying to follow and trying to maybe get a move. Malimo, on the other hand, I mean, he's got the speed, he's got the V-carb. I mean, Red Bull gives you wings, but the Alpine gives him a bit of a brake lockup and a bit of a checkup that he's got to have to deal with. But then you got through this section, and it's just you can't overtake here. I mean, you can. It probably involves something that would get you a huge penalty or even a suspension for rental car levels of driving, but Malimo still just hustling the Alpine. And oh, look at this, trying to send it down low. How low can you go? And that brings him up into 9th. Very good move there for Malimo as he is up into P9. I'm seeing so much like oval racing style coming in from that. I mean, overtakes on the high lane, overtakes on the low lane, just trying to get on a bit of the apron. And that was a beautiful pass. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, it's a very unique corner, isn't it, turn 12, where it goes on for so long, and it is slightly banked as well, that you allow those kind of, as you say, NASCAR-esque moves. Up ahead, though, still a fight going on for P5. Now Alex Lamas has managed to pull away from the McLaren, so huge from him. Santa Maria starting to struggle on his tyres as they are slightly older than the pair that are sat behind him. Kasper Jacek, who's caught up to the back of the McLaren, and now Thomas Robotham as well, who's got significantly younger hard tyres. And he's now trying to engage in this fight for the top 5. They're all nose to tail. Is there a move opportunity at turn 8? You can see the Williams looking down the inside, trying to stick a nose there, but not quite a car's width to get aggressive. But this is going to be a very interesting fight, and I imagine in these closing 4 or 5 so laps, it's going to become very important about battery management. Who has the battery and able to defend? Who has the car position? But here comes the Audi. Looking for the move now on the run towards turn 13, opting for the outside later on the brakes by the McLaren though, who holds on. The Audi, who went on the brakes earlier looking for a better exit, but not a good enough exit to get a run into the next corner. A little bit of contact on the rear of the McLaren there, but he's opting to stay behind for now. I think this is going to be a very interesting fight for the remaining laps. Oh, and here comes Robotham. That's caught off guard, using that extra grip. He's trying to get down the inside now to the run to turn 20. Late on the brakes for the Audi, trying to hold on. Very close to contact. There is contact between the Audi and the Williams, who still has the inside line and just snakes his way through. And that's a big move from Thomas Robotham, who now is released up to P6 and can chase down the McLaren ahead. And it got aggressive, but that was good racing.
It was very good racing indeed, and this mid-package has been excellent for battling, but look how close these guys are getting once again. Michael Kuzella, excuse me, just trying to fight, trying to get back into P2 on the road. So even if that pen does get removed from D'Amico, he can still try to hold that position. I mean, these guys are really just trying everything. They're throwing everything at each other, including the kitchen sink. But look at Thomas Robottom trying to get a move! Trying to get a move into turn 8. That is lunacy, Thomas. But the lunacy I'm all here for. I mean that's turn 10 comes at you so sharp that it's a scary corner. I was doing a bit of time trial earlier. That was the corner that was scaring me the most. And Michael Kuzella is still trying to hold on and still trying to get this pass done on track. We are down to about to be the final 5 laps of the race. About 5 laps to go here. About 4.5 realistically, as the drivers are just shuffling their way on through. Thomas Robottom still trying to fight to break his way into the top 5. And we're going to just watch as these guys just give it their all, holding nothing back. You got to give it your all like it's an all-star brawl. Malimo gets a penalty though, so that's going to make things a bit tricky for that pack. Although, I mean, unless Tom Wolfingham brings up about 1.9 seconds, he might be, I mean, that might be all right for Malimo, but we got about 4 laps to go in this absolute banger of a race. And I mean, it's going to continue to deliver. I mean, Thomas Robottom trying to make some kind of inroads here. He was almost side by side. He was thinking about it. Here comes the move, or just sending it up the inside. Does he get it? No, just not quite enough. You gotta be well ahead coming into 5, 6, and 7 to make that stick.
I mean, yeah, he's showing his aggression, and we saw you caught it last lap at turn 8. He could, if he'd missed his brakes by even about half a meter, he would have found the wall. So it was one of them corners where there's just no error for mistake, and you could say it's similar about turn 20 as well. We saw the Alpine of Tax find the wall there, or I think it was Nolfo actually, the Red Bull of Nolfo who hit the wall there. But here comes Robotham going round the outside of turn 13, looking for the switchback now as the better exit, trying to go around the long way. There's not quite space to do it. It's so close between Williams versus McLaren down the inside, using that extra grip, and he's managed to find his way through. Thomas Robotham is up to P5, and that was a great move. I think he might have caught the McLaren off guard there, using the battery in an unusual place to catch the McLaren off guard, and he's managed to find his way through, and now he's going to try and escape from that 1 second range and take the danger away. And he's still got about 3 laps to do so.
Yeah, this is just crazy fighting between these guys as they are just doing everything in their power to really just, I mean, you're getting inventive, and especially on a brand new track, that inventiveness is really going to help your case quite handily. So Michael Kuzella is going to try to hold on, trying to make his way through. We'll see if Kuzella can end up getting this one in the books. Trying to get that P2 on the road. He'll get it on track due to the pens and such, but it has just been a crazy Spanish Grand Prix here at the brand new track. And I mean, these drivers are just giving it their everything. I mean, leaving nothing to chance here. I mean, you got to give some credit to the F5 drivers for really stepping up here. I mean, the two that come to mind immediately being, funny enough, the drivers fighting for 6th and 7th. Do with that number of combo as you will. Casper and Ivan, they're both well within the top 10. So, I mean, very good stuff here. We're about to head to penultimate lap, and Avi, as we get ready for our penultimate lap, I'm going to pass this one over to you.
Yeah, huge race so far from Dennis Kamensky. And we saw maybe a concern for him holding on to this race win when he picked up the 3-second penalty. He's then extended that gap from 6 seconds up to 8.5. So it looks to be a safe victory for him. He's been a very strong performance as there. And the battle for P6 continuing on. The McLaren defending from the Audi of Kaspi and Seechuk. We'll keep an eye on this pair, as well as D'Amico versus Kudzela for P2 and P3. We believed watching that there was potentially a removable 3-second or 3-second penalty if the stewards allow him to, because it was a bit of contact at the corner of turns 5 and 6 for these two. We'll continue watching on. I'm currently watching this fight between the McLaren and the Audi because they look to be particularly aggressive. The McLaren burning his battery down the straight and the run towards the 5-6 chicane. Potentially a concern that the Audi is going to try and catch him off guard, just as the Williams ahead of him did earlier. He's held on to the position as they work their way through turn 8, which has actually claimed less victims than I thought it would. Such a difficult corner. You have to nail it and nail the braking every single time, which his drivers have done quite successfully so far. As they weave their way through the middle sector and into turn 12, a corner we've been talking about quite a lot so far this race. Battery is back on. Can the Audi get a run going towards turn 13? He's looking for it round the outside. Here comes the Audi. Late on the brakes goes the Polish driver. He's found a gap round the outside, right on the brink of track limits. He's now got the inside of the S's, and through goes the Audi. Santa Maria has been caught off guard successfully, and with no battery in the car, it's going to come down to the last lap, which I'll hand back to you.
Thank you, Avi. That is a crazy, crazy battle we're seeing between the Audi and the McLaren. Good move there for Casper, as it is the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix, and I don't think the battles are settling down just yet. They gotta get their vamos on and make their way, just try to get as many positions as they can. And Michael Kudzela but he has a little bit of the top of the wall on the inside. That's gonna allow D'Amico to really build out that gap to about 0.6 of a second, but it just closes right back. This battle is definitely doing the accordion thing. Just kind of going back and forth, kind of like one of those mechatones that you see in some musician's office. Making the way through Monumental for the last time, and this battle has really spread out now, so I think maybe that might have upset the balance of Michael Kudzela's car, that little bit of contact there, so he knows he'll get it done on track, but Ivan Santa Maria is still trying to fight the Audi. And he is going to do everything that he can to get the move done, coming through Monumental one more time. But the driver who has done pretty much nothing wrong here today, it'll be a nigh grand slam for the Mercedes, for TES. It has been a mad race here, but Dennis Kamensky wins the Spanish Grand Prix with 9 seconds to the good. And D'Amico will come across the line. Michael Kudzela will make it a Mercedes 1-2 with the pens, potentially getting removed after the fact, as some more drivers are going to come through. Alex Lamas, driver who's got a lot of love in the chat, is now in 4th, and he will finish in 4th. Can we see this battle here, though? It is going to be Ivan Santa Maria and Casper trying to duke it out. Casper to Seechuk trying to go ahead and get the move done, and he will remain in P6. Malimo coming home in 9th. Alexi Cavero coming home in 8th. Tom Wolfgram in 10th. He'll round up the top 10. And Pascal Grill and Ryan Grob will battle out for the last 2 spots on the road. Even though the penalty will make it very decided. But, oh, look at the wing damage on Ryan Grob, though. Ryan Grob does have some damage as they come across the line. And that was the Spanish Grand Prix. Done, dusted, in the books. And I think this is probably one of my favorite tracks to commentate now, because that was epic racing.
That was, yeah, it surprised me a lot that a lot of these corners, which are kind of do or die, if you get the braking wrong, even by the smallest of margins, you end up at a wall. But No, the drivers, I mean, as experienced and as strong as they are, of course, I shouldn't be surprised that they were able to navigate safely around. But well done to TES for being top 2 spots.
Yeah, and the Mercedes driver is just going to go ahead and enjoy the podium celebration. The champagne, the virtual champagne will spray. And it's been a really strong day here for the Mercedes team. As we take a look at your superlatives, the fastest lap does go to his teammate, so Mercedes getting the clean sweep across the board. But Thomas Robottom with the most overtakes and driver of the day, and Ivan Santamaria was your cleanest driver on the day. It is going to be Dennis Kamensky ahead of Michael Kuzella, and then D'Amico ahead of Alex Lamas. Thomas Robottom making his way from 14th to 5th. And then it's going to be Kasper Cizetric ahead of Ivan Santamaria, Alexi Cavero, Molimo, and then Tom Wolfgram, Ryan Grob, and Pascal Gill rounding out your 12 finishing drivers. And throughout the day, we have lost Panos Karafalidis, Neo Steens, Tachubi, Tax, Gianluca Nofo, and Marcel Pabst. Rounding out your field here today. I mean, just what a day it's been here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Just absolute cinema from beginning to end here, Avi.
Yeah, absolutely, and a track that might be on the tip of other leagues and associations' tongues for a good race to add onto their calendar. I know there was a lot of hesitancy from certain groups to add Madrid onto the calendar as it's a new track, but I think what we've seen today has proven that it may well be a good racing track for this game. I'm excited to see, hopefully, some opportunities to commentate on it further.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it ends up on the calendar for next season. I'm going to be really looking forward to that one. So we're going to try to talk to our podium sitters if they are ready. We're going to just kind of wait and see. I don't think we have anybody in the waiting room just yet. We'll try to get our top 3 in. But while we do that, let's take a look at the calendar, shall we? Because, I mean, we got some beautiful races coming up here. So it is going to be Britain. And Britain was last week for F5 because, well, we had to get it rescheduled. Next week is going to be a fantastic racetrack. We're heading to the Red Bull Ring, which is honestly one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. I love Austria. It's such a good track. A track that really rewards aggression. And we saw a lot of aggression here on a track that's really just a bit about being cautious. So then we go from Austria to Imola to Viva Las Vegas. And then we go to Mexico, Brazil, Bahrain, and then in October, we wrap things up in Austin, Texas. So it's going to be a great calendar. And honestly, I hope we get to see even more fantastic races in PCF4.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a really good variety of tracks coming up. As you said, Austria, rewarding that aggressiveness. It's all about being safe wheel to wheel because you can go wheel to wheel at almost every corner. So I think it's going to be a real exciting one from a spectator's point of view as well.
Yeah, it should be a great time. I don't see any of our interviewees joining us this time around, so I believe we're good to go ahead and wrap things up. So, Avi, any final words before we send this one off into the sunset?
Well, make sure you're available next week on a Thursday evening if you're here based in the UK, or Thursday at whatever time you are based around the world, because I think Austria next week is going to be very, very exciting.
Should be a lot of action coming up here at the Red Bull Ring, and I mean, we'll see. I mean, Red Bull gives you wings, and boy, oh boy, we might see a few lost wing parts on that one. Should be a great race, though, nevertheless. So, a massive thank you to all of our partners. And a massive thank you to you guys in the YouTube chat for being awesome as always. Big shout out to Avi for joining me here. And a massive thank you to Sappy for allowing me to jump into F4 as a guest appearance in lieu of the canceled F5 race for today around this circuit. It's a really good time around this track. And a massive thank you to Avi for joining me as always. And, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Tune in next time when we head to the Red Bull Ring. And we'll see who's got the wings that will carry them into the win. My name's been Ben Patrick Coleman. And thank you guys so much for watching. Stay hydrated, and we'll see you guys next time. Good night.